everybody, welcome to episode 6 of the Thankful For You Mystery Box. This episode is all about the cardstock and the place cards. This is something really simple, but I feel it can make such a fun impact on your Thanksgiving table or really any event that you are having. These are great for Thanksgiving, but they could also be used for fall, really just anything. They're great for weddings too if you're doing kind of a fall theme. I have 2 SVGs available for you, one with a little maple leaf and one with a pumpkin. You can do both or just one, it's up to you. And I think it'll also help you kind of figure out how to make these so you can do your own shapes as well. These were really fun to make, but you'll need a pen if you want to write with the CRICUT, or you can just handwrite them. It's up to you. But this is going to be done with the craft cardstock that was in the box. I included 4 sheets for you so that you would have plenty of cardstock to make plenty of place cards. I cannot wait to do these ones. These are some of my favorite little SVGs to make, and I had such a fun time doing it, so let's get started.
Whatever we would do, we do it just for fun.
We're going to upload the designs that I created for our place cards. So these were really fun to do, and I so enjoyed making these SVGs. What you'll do is click Upload Image and Browse, and then find where you saved that image. So again, mine are always going to be in my Mystery Box Asset folder, and it's right here under Place Cards. I'm going to choose Place Card 2, and this one is the Microsoft Edge document, which is your SVG, so go ahead and select that. Now what you'll see is it's going to bring up this little SVG with 2 squares and some wording. Make sure to read that wording, and I'll show you why in just a second. All you need to do is click Upload. Once it's put into your recent uploads, select the image and click Add to Canvas. Now, we do have some instructions here on our SVG because when you create an SVG, they don't know what a score line is. So what we're going to do is it says change the line to a score line in the Operations on Design space. So your first task is to click Ungroup. That's going to give everything its own piece so we can change the line. Now what you can do is either delete all the words because we already know what we're supposed to do. So I just select all the text and delete it. That's going to get rid of a lot of lines on your design space over in your Layers tab. So you'll see here that we have this line called Basic Cut. All you need to do is go over to Operation and change that line to a score line. Then what you want to do is select that line, select the card, and click Attach. That's going to tell it to keep the score line with the card. We're going to do the same for this maple leaf one, so select the line, change it to score, and then select the maple leaf card and the score line and click Attach. Now, the one thing with these is that you can either handwrite on them if you would like to, or you can use your CRICUT to write them. So we're going to use our CRICUT to write on them. So what I'm going to do is open up some text, and I'm going to add the names of my guests. So we'll just do 2 since we've got the 2 here, but you can make as many as you would like to using 1 design or 2 designs. It's really up to you. Now, I hate paying CRICUT for things, but I'm going to show you really quick how we can filter and make sure that whatever font we're going to use with CRICUT is a writing font. So click Filters, and what you're going to do is look for one called Writing. So just click on that, and what it'll do is it's going to bring up all of the different fonts that will actually write with a single line. So you'll see here we have quite a few options. What I'm going to do is select whichever one I want to. Now this may take a second because it does go a little bit slow sometimes, especially for some reason when I change it to writing. So you'll see here that you've got the style selected as writing, your operation is selected as pen, and you have your 2 designs here. Now I have them both on the same text box, so what I want to do is go Advanced, and I want to ungroup it to lines. That way I can move the words over onto my designs here and place them. Now let's say that we don't want to use a CRICUT writing font. That's totally okay. So let's go ahead, and what we're going to do, I'll just type up one name here. I'm going to move it down a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over into my system fonts. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the filter because we don't want that. And you can look for fonts that are very, very thin fonts. A thin font is the way to go for these. So something like this one that's really thick is not going to work. So what you'll do is you're going to look for fonts that are either called thin line or really, really tiny thin fonts. So you can see this one's kind of thick, but it might work. But I think if we make it too big, it's going to hollow itself out. So you'll want to play around with this and find some of your thinner fonts. So something like this that's very, very thin would probably work pretty well, because we are going to need to make it pretty small to fit on to our little place card here. So once you've made it kind of small, I'll move this off so you guys can see this better. So I've made this pretty small. That's about the size I'd need it to be. What I want to do is I'm going to change it over here into my pen, and then I'm going to just kind of look and make sure all the other things look like they're set. And I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see, so we don't have to make it bigger. But you see, it is still hollow, but once your pen actually writes it, it's not going to look really, really hollow. So let's go ahead and do one in that style, and we'll do the other one with the writing font from CRICUT. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make these the same color. I made them 2 different colors so that you guys could see the difference, but we are cutting this on the craft paper, so I'm just going to go ahead and make this the same color. The next thing that we do need to make sure that we do is attach our name to the card. So you want to just select the card and the name and click attach. If you don't do that, it's going to try to put it somewhere else, and we don't want to do that. So we just want to make sure everything is attached. That way everything stays where we placed it. Now all you have to do is click Make It. Once you've clicked Make It, you'll see that you have your 2 designs. Now you can fit quite a few of these on the cards. You can also make them a little bit smaller if you want to be able to fit 3 across. I did them about 4 inches wide, so you can make them a little bit smaller if you want to fit more, but you did get quite a few pieces of cardstock, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. I'm going to click Continue, and it's going to allow me to select my cut setting. Now I do recommend, if you haven't cut on cardstock before, give it a shot, do some test cuts. But what I use the medium cardstock setting. It works great with this paper. Now you're going to see that we need to load a couple of tools. So if you're using the CRICUT Explorer, you will use the Score Stylus, which looks like a pen with a metal tip. But I'm using the CRICUT Maker, so what I'm going to need is the scoring wheel. And I'm also going to need a pen. Now you can use any color pen that you want, even though this says to use the Midnight pen. It doesn't know what color pen you put in. It doesn't know what thickness pen you put in. So you can really use any pen that you want to. So don't worry about that. I'm going to show you how to load the pen and how to load the scoring wheel. But loading the scoring stylus in the CRICUT Explorers is exactly like loading a pen. So let's go over to the machine and I'll show you how to do all of that. So we're going to install our pen. I'm going to use this gel pen in the 0.1 Dusty Rose color. So what you'll do, and this is the same for the Explorer and for the Maker, is you're going to open clamp A just by pulling it open. Take the cap off. I like to put the cap on the back of my pen. And then what you're going to do is insert it into clamp A. Put your finger at the bottom of the housing and other finger on top from your other hand and click it down until you hear it click. Then what we need to do is install our rotary tool here, not a rotary tool, our scoring wheel. So scoring wheel is 01, has a gold gear on the top for the Maker. If you're using the Explorer, you'll need to use the stylus. So uninstall your fine point blade by just opening clamp B, line up the gold gears, and then close clamp B. As easy as that. And then we're going to use a blue CRICUT mat for this, and we're going to use the craft cardstock that we included in the box. So what you're going to do is lay your cardstock down, and you want to make sure that you have it well pressed down. So I just like to kind of give it a nice press. And then we're going to go ahead and load this into our machine. We've already selected our cut setting of heavy cardstock. I do find that to work best for this paper. But again, do some test cuts. That's why we included so many sheets. You've got some extras, and you've got plenty to make enough for everybody coming to your event. And then once it's ready, because it's checked our tool and everything, it's measured our mat, we're going to go ahead and press the go button. Now what you're going to need to do is change out your blade. So when you do this, I do recommend taking out your pen as well. That way it doesn't dry out. So I'm just going to pop my pen out. Make sure to put the cap back on and close my clamp. Then what we need to do is open clamp B and take out the scoring wheel and replace that back together with the fine point blade. That way you can cut out all of our designs. And then just go ahead and hit the go button again. It'll check my tool, and then it's gonna cut all of our designs out. Now that it's done cutting, we're gonna go ahead and unload our mat, and I'm gonna show you how to remove this, because you'll wanna remove this in a specific way. That way you can avoid bending your new place cards. So what you're going to do is take your mat and you're going to flip it over so that it's upside down, and roll your mat off of your cardstock. And you'll see here, like, I don't mind too much if I bend the main part, so I like to take all of the big portion off first. Then what I do is I'm gonna come back through, I'm gonna turn it the other way, and then I'm gonna bend it so I can get the place cards off. Now you do wanna be gentle, because there are parts of the place card that are cut out, so they're gonna have like a little pop-up on them, and then you can kind of take these little scraps off. But I can get to those in a minute as soon as I finish. So I just like to just gently, and you'll see that I use my hand a little bit to kind of help pull. Now I will say the maple leaf is one that likes to kind of stick to the card. So just be aware of that. And then all we do now is we're gonna fold on our score line. So sometimes it's a little hard to see your score line, that's okay. And I like to just continue to fold it all the way down. So don't worry about this part, we'll fix the pop up in just a second. So I just like to fold it all the way down. You can use a bone folder if you'd like to have a really sharp fold, or you can just take a pen and run it along the edge here if you don't have a bone folder. Then what I'm gonna do is take the little pop-up piece, so the little pumpkin, and he folds on a little slightly different fold, but that's okay. You're just gonna fold him up so that he pops up, and then you have this adorable little place card. So I'll go ahead and do one of the maple leaf ones. I love the little maple leaf. As you can see, I have a lot of leaves in this box for you guys. So again, I like to just fold along that line, and it can be a little hard to see in some places. So don't worry, if you're having a little trouble seeing it, just put it in a bright light. And I don't fold it down really hard the first fold that I do. I fold it really lightly, and then I come back and I fold it down again. Now the maple leaf, for whatever reason, is one that loves to stand up, so I'm just gonna let that one stand on its own. And then I'm gonna go ahead and fold this down. Now I do have a little piece of the leaf backing that wanted to kind of come up, so we'll just fold him back down. And now you have an adorable little maple leaf one as well. I'll get you guys a really good view of these, and we'll talk a little bit more about the writing. So as you can see, the ones that are written with cursive are just a little bit hollow. Those are done with a non-writing font, but they really are very not noticeable. So the thinner your font and the smaller you make it, the less noticeable any of those hollow spaces will be. But you can see the ones that I did with the writing font look amazing. These are really easy to do and super duper fun. I feel like you can really do these with all sorts of things. You can use them for lots and lots of different holidays and events and things like that. And I hope that kind of seeing how this SVG is built will help you learn how to make something like this where you can kind of use your own shape. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in those comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And as always, happy crafting!